Hello, welcome to our podcast Bunky, where we talk about the different musical moments and genres that have marked history and culture. I'm Alex and I'm accompanied by Sophie.
Hello, listeners! Today we're going to talk about one of the most influential and controversial movements in the world, called punk.
That's right, Sophie. Punk is a musical genre that was born as a form of protest and expression for young people who are marginalized and dissatisfied with society. Punk is characterized by its raw, simple, and aggressive sound, its rebellious and provocative lyrics, and its groundbreaking and transgressive aesthetics.
Punk has its origins in the United States and the United Kingdom in the late 70s and spread throughout the world, giving rise to different subgenres and musical fusions. Punk also has its own philosophy based on values such as independence, anarchy, self-management, and the fight against religion, consumerism, and the establishment system.
In this podcast, we are going to review the history and culture of punk, its relationship with fashion, and the subcultures that emerged or were inspired by it. We are also going to listen some emblematic punk songs, both classic and current.
So, if you like punk or want to know more about this fascinating movement, don't miss this episode of BunnieTokki podcast. We begin.
Punk has its roots in the United States, where bands like Ramones, The Stooges, or MC5 were pioneers in creating a direct sound, which contrasted with the progressive rock and glam rock of the time. His music was a way of expressing his boredom, his frustration, and his rebellion against a conformist and alienating society.
Punk also developed in the United Kingdom, where bands like the Sex Pistols, The Clash, or The Damned were responsible for giving punk a more political and rebellious attitude, influenced by the social context of economic crisis, impoverishment, and war conflicts. These bands were supported by Malcolm McLaren, a music entrepreneur who promotes them as a form of provocation and scandal. His music was a way of criticizing the government, the monarchy, the press, and society in general.
Punk became popular thanks to the media, which spread it as a musical novelty and a social treat. Punk also became visible thanks to the live concerts, when punks created an atmosphere of energy, fun, and chaos. Punk also relied on fanzines, homemade publications, and served to inform about bands, events, or the opinions of punks.
Punk had a great impact on music and world culture. Punk inspired other musical genres such as hardcore punk, post-punk, pop-punk, alternative rock, grunge, and metal. Punk also created its own form of art, literature, poetry, and fashion.
Let's listen to a song that represents the spirit of the original punk. This is Blixie Pop by the Ramones, a song that sums up the sound and attitude of punk, simple, direct, and fun. The song was released as the first single of the Ramones' debut album and became a punk anthem. Well, here, leave it to you.
Ay, oh, let's go. Ay, oh, let's go. Ay, oh,
fashion. Punk was not only music, but also fashion with its own aesthetic. Punk dresses in torn clothing, badges, studs, flashy haircuts, and makeup. Punk also used items such as pins, chains, decoration as a symbol of resistance. But fashion was a way to express their identity, their personality, and their non-conformity with social norms.
Punk fashion was created by punks himself, who used do-it-yourself concept to create and modify their clothing and accessories. Punks used recycled or reused materials such as paper, cardboard, fabrics, buttons, or favorite pins. Punks also customized their clothing with paint, markers, stickers, or patches. Punk fashion was a form of art and creativity.
Punk fashion was also adopted by designers like Vivienne Westwood, who was the grand dame of punk and the unintentional promoter of its fashionization. Westwood created collections inspired by punk, such as Pirate or Sedentaries, which caused a sensation of the catwalks. Westwood also dressed artists such as the Sex Pistols, The Clash, and the New York Dolls. Other designers who were inspired by punk were Jean-Paul Gaultier, Alexander McQueen, and John Galliano.
Punk fashion is still valid today, although it has lost part of its original essence. Many current bands are inspired by punk to create their image, but they also adapt to the new trends and market demands. Some of the current bands that we call considered punk are Green Day, Blink, or Some. Fashion has also contributed to spreading punk to magazines, party days, exhibitions, or events. An example of this is the Punk House or Culture exhibition that opened with a grand gala at the Met in New York, where the creation of design inspired by punks were shown.
We're going to listen to a song that represents the influence of punk on fashion. There is Pretty Vegan by the Sex Pistols, a song that criticized the superficiality and emptiness of society. This song was released in 1967 as the third single for the album Nevermind the Bollocks.
Punks were related to other subcultures that emerged by or were inspired by it, such as hardcore punk, post-punk, new wave, pop punk, ska punk, salty punk, gypsy punk, psychobilly, queer punk, cyberpunk, or straight edge. This subculture had in common their rejection of the established system and their search for their own identity, but they also are different in their musical, aesthetic, or ideological styles. Some of their cultures were more radical or violent than others, and some were in conflict with or competition with each other.
Hardcore punk was a subculture that emerged in the early 80s as a reaction to the commercialism and decadence of original punk. Hardcore punk was characterized by a song faster, harder, and more aggressive than punk. Hardcore punk was also distinguished for its more militant attitude and commitment to social and political causes. Some representative bands of hardcore punk were Death Flag, Minor Threat, Bad Brains, or Dead Kennedys.
Post-punk was a subculture that emerged in the late 70s as the evolution of the original punk. Post-punk was characterized by more experimental, diverse, and sophisticated sound than punk. Post-punk was also distinguished by its more artistic and intellectual attitude, influenced by art, literature, and philosophy. Some of the representative bands of post-punk were the Joy Division, The Cure, Citrus, and the Banshees or the Smiths. Post-punk also gave rise to other subgenres such as new wave, gothic rock, or indie rock. We are going to listen to a song that represents the diversity and fusion of punk with other musical genres. This is Start Wearing Purple by Gogo Bordello, a band that mixes punk with gypsy and Slavic music. The song was released as a part of the album Gypsy Punk's Underdog World Strike and became an anthem for the band. Here we leave it to you.
Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. All your sanity and wits, they will all vanish, I promise. It's just a matter of time. So yeah. Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Start wearing purple for me now. All your
Punk was a movement that marked a notable change in terms of female visibility in pop music. Until then, women were limited to singing in female groups led by men or in groups mostly composed of men. Punk gave them the opportunity to form their own bands, play their own instruments, write their own lyrics, and express their own ideas.
Punk was also a movement that questioned gender roles and social norms that oppressed women. Punk women rebelled against a feminine image imposed by society, which is related to being sexual objects, selfless mothers, or submissive wives. Punk women dressed in a Trump clothing, beige and studs, flashy haircuts, and makeup. Punk women also combined delicate garments with elements considered masculine, such as industrial boots or leather jackets.
Punk was also a movement that opened space for feminism and sexual diversity. Punk women denounced the machismo, sexism, patriarchy, and gender violence they suffer in society and in the music scene. Punk women also declaimed their sexual freedom, their bodily autonomy, and their right to pleasure. Some punk women identify as lesbian, bisexual, or queer, and challenge heteronormative stereotypes.
Some of the most representative female bands of the artists of punk were the Slits, a British band that fused punk with reggae and dub, and that was sang about topics such as sexism, racism, or menstruation. Patti Smith, an American poet and singer who fused rock with literature and art, and who became an iconic figure of punk because of her androgynous and bohemian styles, or Polly Stradivarius, a British singer of Somali and Irish origin who led the band X-Ray Spread, one of the first multiracial and mixed punk bands, and who sang about topics such as consumerism, identity, or the environment.
Let's listen to a song that represents the voice and threats of punk women. It is All Bondage of Yours by X-Ray Aspect. a song that criticized the oppression and exploitation of women suffer in society. The song was released in 1967 as the band's first single and became a feminist punk anthem.
I think little girls should be seen and not heard, but I think, oh bondage, up yours! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Punk is still alive today, although it has lost part of the original essence. Many current bands are inspired by punk to create their music, but they also adapt to the new technologies, media, or lifestyles. Some of the current bands that we could consider punk are Green Day, Blink, or some. These bands have more commercial and less radical image than the original punk bands, but they also mainstream a critical and rebellious spirit.
Punk also continues to influence their youth, offering them a way to express their nonconformity, their rebellion, and their identity. Punk also inspires other cultures and social movements such as feminism, environmentalism, anti-racism, or LGBTQ activism. Punk is still alive today in various forms and manifestations such as urban art, fanzines, DIY, or the internet.
We are two young women who identify with punk, but of its music and culture, punk has taught us to be independent, creative, and supportive. Punk has given us the opportunity to express ourselves, to communicate, and also have fun. Punk has made us to see the world in a different way, more critical and more conscientious.
And what have punk given you? What bands or artists do you like? What topic or values interest you? We would love to know your opinion. You can write to us at our email or Instagram and or Twitter. You will find the links in the description of the podcast.
Well, Sophie, I think we are reached the end of this podcast. We hope you like it and that you enjoyed this journey to punk and music and culture that we are passionate about.
Thank you for listening us. We say goodbye until the next episode of BunnieTokki podcast.
See you soon!